Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, back with another Kamihime project video. This event is pretty much a reskin of some past characters. It is a water raid event. For those that have been around for a while, you may remember Python. She now has a water version, and then I think her name is Kishar or Kinsar. I forgot how to pronounce it, but she's also the free SR Kamihime, and she's been here before too. But there are some good things to get from here, so we'll go over that. But before I get into things, of course, since it's a raid event, you can get help from other players, so as long as you're quite active and participating in the fights, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to survive it. You just have to do some damage. As long as you're active enough for that, you should be able to get the rewards. So even the newest players should be able to get everything if they have enough access to AP or BP, whichever you use more. But same typical thing goes through. Just do some story missions, well, some story cutscenes basically. Do standard mission, clear that. Expert, clear that enough times in order to get materials for Ragnarok, and you basically just rinse and repeat. If you want all the magic jewels you possibly can, you're going to have to go through all of these. But for the most part, you could just start them one time and then jump into other people's raids. That's kind of what some people do because it saves you the trouble going through and unlocking everything yourself. Just remember that when you unlock things yourself, you do get a much better soul rate, like the divine and the devil souls, because those are the main things you use to get your rewards, aside from the tickets, of course. But anyways, we'll go over some of this stuff later when it's further down the list. I'll also go over the SR Kamihime at the end of the video. But getting into the fights, starting off, we have Tiamat, who I'm surprised returned. She's the standard raid boss, and she has 850,000 HP. The trick with her is that normal mode, nothing really changes. She just has an AoE hit when her orbs become full. When you go into raging mode, however, the first time she'll activate her trigger, and that's because raging mode will put a normal attack damage up buff on herself, along with doing a large hit to one character, and the trigger happens the first time that buff comes up, where she'll put defense down on herself, which it says permanent. However, she activates her normal attack 5 times, so it's like someone getting hit 5 times, literally. So that could actually be a little bit troublesome for the newer or weaker players, so pay very close attention to that. But since it is the easiest of the fights, most people are probably going to blow right through it, so just something to point out there. Now, things get pretty interesting when it comes to Python, who's the expert and the Ragnarok fight, and in her case, she's got a few tricks up her sleeve. Normal mode, she will deal large damage to one person, and it will also have a 3-turn freeze. We'll go over freeze mechanic a little bit further, but what it does is basically it puts your burst gain completely at 0. So as long as you're under freeze, you cannot gain any burst. So keep that in mind. And then she'll also do 3 random nukes if it's the raging mode one, 2 random nukes if it's on expert. But that also has freeze for each one, so be very careful of that. Then looking at both of them, her triggers are basically the same regardless of difficulty. Now, the first time she shifts to Raging, be very careful because it is going to be an AoE freeze. It is going to be an AoE freeze. So, again, be very careful with that one. And it is going to last for 4 turns, too. She'll also remove any orb charges she has as well. So, if you shift to Raging and she had full orbs, then she basically wasted. Like, I don't think it'll take priority. I don't think her Raging Nukes take priority over that one. The trigger should take priority. So it'll be like clean slate before you get into the Raging Nuke. However, based on the mode she does, all of her attacks when she doesn't have full orbs will be one of these 2 things. Normal mode, anytime she does a normal attack on somebody, she reduces their burst gauge by 10. So, I think it can indeed do more if she combos, so be careful with that regardless. Raging, she will always randomly hit 3 people. Well, up to 3 people, I should say. So, that means that if you're in a Ragnarok fight, you will constantly see 3 random hits. In either way, that is very dangerous because of the fact that if it single targets one person, they have a very good chance of getting wiped out. So, that said, you're definitely going to have to pay very close attention to what she does. Because first off, your bursts are going to go off slower. And then second, she's doing a lot of damage. So, my suggestion for souls, Shingen can counter that a bit, but Joan might actually be the go-to soul for this one, so you can actually take less damage. Or simply just get a healer and give her Maiden's Prayer, or if you have Andromeda's Mastery skill, you can block freezing, like the first time it tries to land on somebody. So those are probably the strategies you should go for. Keep in mind that Expert 7,200,000 HP, Ragnarok is almost 3 times as much. It's actually 21 million, but basically about 3 times as much. Now, going into the rewards, they haven't changed since who knows how long ago. But if you're just going after the SSR stuff, 50 Divine, 55 Double Souls, that gets you all of that. If you're going after the gacha tickets, 140 and 82. If you're going after the Dragonic Eye Shards, 200 Divine, 90 Devil. If you're going after all the Magic Jewels, 225 Divine and 95 Devil. And if you're just trying to get all the stuff, 250 Divine and 100 Devil. So keep that in mind. And if you're extremely lucky, I highly doubt it will happen. You can get 3 souls every single fight you start. So that said, you can probably even randomness aside, you could probably do all the devil souls within 40 to 50, like 40 to 50 fights in general, because souls will drop pretty often on that one, especially if you're starting them. So I personally find it easier to complete the devil list than the divine list because you don't need as much, but it depends on the person. But that's just my personal take on it. It's not a legit fact. Now, going into this stuff right here, Python herself, she gives barriers and defense buffs to your entire team. So that alone makes her a very good sub slot add-on. Now, if you put her in the main slot, it is 40% elemental attack and 20% HP, which is also pretty good. So that said, she's worth getting regardless. Now, the weapon she has, it's the largest, so get used to this because you're going to see it a lot. But it does have quite a bit of attack power, even though it can't go to final break. And then water does have a few bows they have access to, so you may or may not need it for a bow grid. Now, when it comes to the other stuff, they're not necessarily worth, but should mention that it is a small defender and small barrage for the thunder weapon, which is an SR axe. For the water sword, it is medium assault, and it is medium defender for the water axe. I don't know why there's two axes here, but okay. Usually they have different weapons, but basically the SSR weapon is if you need it. The SR weapons are, you can pass on those basically. There's better stuff to get elsewhere, and quite frankly, if you really need it, it's only for something like, say, a phantom weapon setup. But definitely keep the Eidolon. She would make a very good sub slot. But we'll go over the exact amount of what that barrier is when we look at her. Now, the missions, those are the same stuff. You start 3 raids each day, you get half elixirs. You start, like, you help somebody else in a raid 3 times, you can get 5 energy seeds per day. You have to solo expert on your own with our Kamihime in order to do 1 mission. Ragnarok must be done with a win team to do the other mission. So keep that in mind. I just recently pulled a win Kamihime too, SSR one, so I guess that'd be a good time to test out how she is, especially since my grid is not oriented towards vigor. But anyways, that's all for that. I'm going to go over some stuff now. So scrolling back up at what's here. Yeah, it's up here. Okay, scrolling back up to here. Now for Python's barrier, well, water Python barrier, I should say, 750. So that's the same as Tiamat. But what she does that Tiamat doesn't is the fact that she'll put a defense up for 2 turns. So that is quite helpful in a lot of cases. Unfortunately, we don't have anything about how strong the defense barrier is, but that's still quite helpful in a lot of cases because you'll take a less damage along with the fact that you will nullify some of the damage, if not all of it. So you got to keep that in mind, that barrier works like that. So any sort of damage cut or defense buffing actually extends the barrier a little bit more because damage is calculated and then the barrier is applied. So if, say, an attack would normally do 1,000 damage, but if you have a defense up, it will do 800 damage. That means the barrier would end up taking off its normal 750, and then you take 50 damage because you reduced it to 800. Instead of not having a defense up, and you take 250 damage. A bit of a small example, but that's one of the best ways to use a barrier, having defense up and or damage cut. Or elemental resistance if need be too. Now going into the SR character. Now she is Thunder, and she's already got some pretty good defensive capabilities. First, she will increase everybody's water resistance, which Thunder is strong against. She will also give herself a regen, if you upgrade the skill of course, for 3 turns while protecting everyone. Meaning she'll draw all the attacks to her. Now, as far as I know, most characters do not block off AoE damage. So, given the protection thing, if you do not have, I forgot which character, but when it comes to the protect thing, attacks that are meant to hit the whole team will hit the whole team. So protect is useless for that. Now, it does have a long, all of her stuff does have a long cooldown too, so keep that in mind. That's the one drawback. And when it comes to her 3rd skill, it is upping the combo rate of one ally, and it gives pursuit. So The thing with Pursuit is the fact that it is extra damage tacked onto the hit. It is said to be 10% right here, so if you did a hit for, say, 100,000, and an extra 10,000 is applied after you see the hit go off. So that's how Pursuit more or less works. It is the same case with it's the same case with something that people call Echo, but that's with bursts. Those are generally good for just doing extra damage in general. But again, it's only 2 turns, and then on top of that, she has a long cooldown. Her main trick is just to be more defensive, if anything. And also her assist helps towards that too, because the more buffs she has, the stronger her defense is. So if you load her with a lot of buffs, especially defensive ones, then she's probably not taking too much damage when she tries to protect everybody. Also, the regen is going to give her back up to 900 HP without Ascension, because Ascension will indeed increase how much health you get for not just flat heals, but also regen heals as well. So keep that in mind. But anyways, she's free. You might as well get her anyway. There's little to no reason not to get somebody that's just free. But anyway, that's all for this video. I'm going to have a video of the my win team going up against it, because I do want to test out how a Kamihime I just recently got is. Her name is Isis. But anyways, that's all for now, guys. More of this will come soon, and take care.